You've been there, haven't you? Giving everything, your energy, love, and time, only to realize you're surrounded by people who take but don't appreciate. It's draining. And now you feel this urge deep inside, almost like a whisper from your soul saying, "Step away quietly. It's time to choose yourself." But walking away isn't easy. It feels heavy, uncertain, and sometimes even lonely. You might wonder, will they notice when I'm gone? Will they miss me? Or will they move on like I was never there? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters. In this video, we're not just talking about leaving. We're uncovering the strength and wisdom behind leaving silently. Together, we'll explore 7 lessons rooted in Islamic wisdom to guide you through this journey. These aren't just lessons. They're reminders of how your absence can reveal your true worth to those who overlooked it. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Knowing when to step back. Sometimes the hardest decision is realizing that staying isn't helping anyone. Not you, not them. Have you ever found yourself constantly explaining, overgiving, or trying to fix relationships that seem one-sided? It's exhausting, isn't it? But here's the truth. Allah never intended for you to lose yourself in the process of holding on to others. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ once said, "The strong man is not the one who can overpower others. Rather, the strong man is the one who controls himself when he is angry." Think about that for a moment. Strength isn't about forcing things to work. It's about knowing when to let go with dignity and self-control. Maybe you've experienced this with a friend who only calls when they need something, or a family member who constantly judges your decisions. You stay because you think leaving would make you the bad person. But what if walking away, silently and with grace, is exactly what Allah wants for you? Sometimes stepping back isn't about giving up. It's about creating space for both healing and growth. As you reflect on this, let's explore the next lesson, where we uncover the beauty of leaving without explanation and trusting Allah with the rest. Lesson 2. Understanding your unique role in the bigger plan. Have you ever looked around and felt like you don't quite fit in? Like your thoughts, your values, and your vision seem out of place in the crowd? It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because Allah has designed you for something different, something greater. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "Islam began as something strange and will return to being strange, so give glad tidings to the strangers." This hadith is a powerful reminder for those who feel like outsiders. Maybe you've experienced being misunderstood, underestimated, or even criticized for staying true to your values while others follow trends. You're not alone. This feeling of strangeness is a sign that Allah has set you apart, not to isolate you, but to elevate you. Perhaps your kindness has been mistaken for weakness, or your refusal to compromise on your principles has made you seem difficult to others. But remember, the chosen ones often walk a path that looks lonely because it's meant to lead them somewhere others can't go. But how do we stay strong in this role without losing ourselves? Let's explore that in the next lesson. Lesson 3. The power of patience in isolation. Have you ever found yourself in a season of life where everything feels still? No movement, no breakthroughs, and no clear direction, just silence. It's in these moments that Shaitan whispers, "You're stuck. You're forgotten." But what if this silence is actually a blessing in disguise? The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ faced such moments in the cave of Hira before receiving revelation. For years, he, peace be upon him, withdrew from the world, spending nights in solitude and reflection. Those quiet moments, though seemingly unproductive, were the foundation of his prophethood. Maybe in your life, the isolation you're experiencing is Allah preparing you for something greater. The friendships that ended, the job opportunities that didn't work out, or the plans that fell through, they're not signs of failure. They're signs of Allah removing distractions, carving out space for you to grow into the person He knows you can be. Patience during these times isn't about waiting for things to happen. It's about trusting that Allah is working in ways you can't see. And when the time is right, everything will fall into place. So how do we embrace this quiet period without falling into despair? Let's uncover the next lesson together. Lesson 4. Rising above the noise of negativity. Imagine this. You've just started making changes in your life. Maybe it's focusing on your deen, setting new boundaries, or pursuing a goal that's meaningful to you. At first, it feels empowering. But then the comments start rolling in. Who do you think you are? You've changed. You're being so distant lately. It stings, doesn't it? The very people you thought would support you suddenly seem like they're rooting for you to fail. But let me tell you something, my dear brothers and sisters, negativity isn't about you. It's about them. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam endured this too. When he, peace be upon him, brought the message of Islam, his own community mocked him, calling him names and spreading false rumors. But did he let their words define him? No. He trusted Allah's plan, knowing that their negativity couldn't overshadow his purpose. Perhaps in your own life, those critical voices are a sign you're on the right path. People resist change, especially when it reminds them of what they're not willing to do themselves. Your growth can feel like a mirror to their insecurities. And here's the key. Rising above isn't about ignoring the negativity. It's about refusing to let it stop you. It's about staying so focused on your own growth that their words lose all meaning. But how do you maintain that focus and keep moving forward? Let's explore the next lesson. Lesson 5. Protecting your peace without guilt. Imagine this. You've been there for everyone, friends, family, even acquaintances, whenever they needed you. But when it's your turn to lean on someone, the silence is deafening. You start to wonder, is my worth tied only to what I can give? What happens when I need something in return? My dear brothers and sisters, protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's necessary. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us balance in relationships. He said, "The strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than the weak believer, while there is good in both. Strive for that which will benefit you." Strength doesn't just mean physical endurance. It means safeguarding your mental and emotional well-being. If you're constantly drained by people who take without giving, how can you continue to grow and serve others sincerely? Maybe you've felt the guilt of saying no or stepping back from someone who drains your energy. But remember, your peace is a blessing from Allah, and it's your responsibility to protect it. That doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means setting boundaries with wisdom and compassion. But what do those boundaries look like in practice, and how can they transform your relationships? Let's find out in the next lesson. Lesson 6. Turning pain into purpose. Pain has a strange way of shaping us, doesn't it? Think about the hardest moments of your life, the heartbreaks, the failures, the betrayals. At the time, it felt unbearable. But looking back, haven't those moments taught you lessons you could never have learned otherwise? Allah reminds us in the Quran, "Perhaps you hate a thing, and it is good for you. And perhaps you love a thing, and it is bad for you. And Allah knows, while you know not." The trials we face aren't meant to break us. They're meant to refine us. Consider the story of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. Betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery, he endured years of hardship. Yet, every painful chapter was leading him closer to his purpose, to become a leader, a source of guidance and a symbol of Allah's justice. In your own life, maybe that friend who turned their back on you taught you the value of sincerity, or perhaps that failure pushed you to discover a strength you didn't know you had. Pain isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of transformation. But how do we turn that pain into something meaningful? Let's find it out in the next section. Lesson 7. Embracing the wisdom of silence. Have you noticed how sometimes the loudest responses aren't words at all, but actions? Think of those moments when you chose not to argue, not to explain, not to justify yourself, and instead Let your silence speak. It wasn't weakness. It was strength. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us this profound lesson when he said, "Whoever believes in Allah and the last day should speak good or remain silent." Silence, when used wisely, can be more powerful than 1,000 words. It can protect your dignity, diffuse conflict, and force others to reflect on their own actions. Perhaps you've been in situations where you wanted to defend yourself against unfair criticism or explain your side of the story to someone who wasn't ready to listen. But walking away silently isn't about losing the argument. It's about rising above it. Silence doesn't mean suppression. It means choosing peace over chaos, wisdom over impulse, and faith over ego. It's a way of saying, I trust Allah to defend me better than I could ever defend myself. But how do we know when to speak and when to remain silent? Let's bring all these lessons together in the conclusion. My dear brothers and sisters, as we reflect on these 7 profound lessons, one thing becomes clear. The trials, the silence, and even the pain you endure are not without meaning. They are Allah's way of guiding you, strengthening you, and preparing you for something far greater than you can imagine. Every experience, whether joyful or challenging, is shaping you into the person you're meant to be. If this video resonated with you, take a moment to reflect and leave a comment below, such as, "Ya Allah, guide me to embrace my journey with patience and faith." Your words may inspire someone else who's on their own path. And before you go, there's another video waiting for you, one that dives even deeper into understanding the wisdom behind Allah's tests and how they shape us. Click on the screen and continue this journey. You never know. What you discover there might be exactly what your heart needs today. Jazakallahu khair for watching, and may Allah grant you the strength, wisdom, and peace to navigate your unique path.